If you didn't shower for a week, you'd smell terrible, but ancient humans didn't have soap, shampoo, or toilet paper for 99% of history. Did they just walk around stinking and covered in filth and germs? Soap, as we know it, is a biological newcomer. For 99.9% of human history, that plastic bottle in your shower didn't exist. No shampoo, no deodorant, no triple blade razors. If you stopped showering today, by next Tuesday, your friends would probably stage an intervention. You'd be greasy, itchy, and, let's be honest, you'd stink. Yet for 300,000 years, our ancestors lived in the wild, handled raw meat, slept in the dirt, and didn't have a single bar of Dove. So why weren't they constantly covered in boils and infections? Did they smell like a dumpster in mid-July? The answer reveals a hidden world living on our skin right now, an ancient invisible shield that we have spent the last century trying to destroy. And what we've lost in the process might be the reason why our skin is more sensitive, more allergic, and more broken than ever before. We have this image of the dirty ancient human. We see them in movies with matted hair and faces smeared with soot. We assume that because they didn't have hygiene, they were walking biohazards. But biological evidence suggests the opposite. If ancient humans were truly as filthy as we imagine, they wouldn't have survived long enough to become our ancestors. Evolution doesn't reward the unhygienic. Our ancestors weren't dirty. They were balanced. See, our skin isn't just a wrapper for our muscles. It is a living, breathing ecosystem. Right now, as you watch this, there are roughly 1 billion bacteria living on every square centimeter of your skin. This is your skin microbiome. In the ancient world, this microbiome was your primary defense. It was a living shield. But here is where it gets fascinating and a little gross. Scientists have recently discovered a specific type of bacteria that used to live on every human on Earth, but has almost completely vanished from the modern world. Ammonia-oxidizing bacteria, or AOB. AOBs are peacekeeper bacteria. Their entire job is to sit on your skin and wait for you to sweat. Sweat by itself doesn't actually smell, it's mostly water and salt. The stink comes when certain bacteria break down the components of your sweat into stinky byproducts. But AOBs do something incredible. They eat the ammonia in your sweat and turn it into nitrite and nitric oxide, chemicals that actually kill off the stink-producing bacteria and soothe inflammation. Our ancestors didn't need deodorant because they had a built-in living chemistry lab on their skin that recycled their sweat into a natural cleanser. When we started using modern soaps, we didn't just wash away the dirt, we committed a mass extinction event on our own bodies. We killed the peacekeepers, and without them, the stink bacteria took over, creating the very problem that soap claims to solve. So, if they weren't using soap, what were they doing? They didn't just sit there, they used mechanical cleaning. Think about the Romans. They were famous for their bathhouses, but they didn't use soap. Instead, they would slather their bodies in olive oil. They'd let the oil sit, soaking up the dirt and sweat from their pores. Then they would use a tool called a strigil, a curved metal scraper, to literally peel the oil and grime off their skin. It sounds barbaric to us, but it was genius. Soap is a surfactant. It strips away everything, including the sebum, the natural oil your skin produces to stay waterproof and healthy. When you strip that oil, your brain panics and tells your skin to produce more oil, which is why your hair gets so greasy 24 hours after you wash it. The ancient method of oil and scrape removed the surface dirt, but left the deeper shield intact. Our ancestors used fine sand as an exfoliant, volcanic ash as a natural disinfectant, and certain plants like saponaria, the soapwort plant, which creates a gentle, natural lather that doesn't nuke your microbiome. But let's address the elephant in the room, the smell. We live in a world where no smell is the goal, but for most of history, your scent was your ID card. It was a biological signal. Anthropologists believe that ancient humans could read each other's scents. We have tiny glands called apocrine glands that produce pheromones. These scents communicated things we can't even imagine today. Who was a relative, who was a stranger, who was stressed, and even who had a compatible immune system for mating. In a 1995 study often called the sweaty t-shirt study, researchers found that women were subconsciously attracted to the scent of men whose immune system genes were different from their own. Our noses were evolved to help us create the healthiest possible children. By covering ourselves in synthetic fragrances, we've effectively muted a major part of human communication. We're all walking around in a cloud of cool water or vanilla lace, effectively wearing a mask over our biological truth. We are the only species on the planet that is offended by its own existence. And this brings us to the dark side of our obsession with being clean. Have you noticed how many people today have eczema, acne, severe allergies? In the 1980s, epidemiologist David Strigils proposed the Hygiene Hypothesis. He argued that by living in sterile environments and scrubbing our skin with harsh chemicals, We are depriving our immune systems of the training they need. Your immune system is like an elite military force. If it doesn't have a villain to fight, like the dirt and bacteria our ancestors lived with, it gets bored. And when it gets bored, it starts attacking things it shouldn't. It attacks pollen. It attacks peanuts. It attacks you. We've created a mismatch. Our bodies expect the dirt, but we're giving them the bleached tiles of a modern bathroom. We think we're winning the war against germs, but we're actually winning a war against ourselves. So, what does this mean? Should you throw away your soap and move into a cave? Probably not. Modern hygiene has saved millions of lives from diseases like cholera and the plague. We shouldn't take that for granted. But there is a middle ground that we've forgotten. For 300,000 years, our ancestors lived in a state of functional filth. They were covered in a layer of life that we would find repulsive, yet that layer was exactly what kept them whole. They didn't have a spring fresh scent, but they had a biological resilience that we can only dream of. Every time you step into a steaming hot shower and reach for that bottle of chemical detergent, you are participating in a massive, century-long experiment. We've traded our living shield for a temporary fragrance. We've traded a complex, ancient language of scent for a sterilized silence. We are the cleanest humans to ever live. But as we look at the rise of skin conditions and immune disorders, we have to wonder, at what point did clean start to become too clean? Tonight, when you wash the day away, remember that you're not just cleaning a surface. You're interacting with an ancient ecosystem that has been with you since the beginning of time. Maybe, just once, try skipping the extra scrub. Your ancestors and your skin might just thank you for it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It helps keep this content coming, and I've got a lot more shocking facts about our modern lives waiting for you.